This video is brought to you by AmerUSA.com, where you can screen tenants 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In this episode, we will be discussing Washington Landlord Tenant laws. The following is a summary of landlord tenant laws in the state of Washington as they apply to residential rental property. Topics include disclosures, withholding rent, the right to enter, security deposits, eviction, increasing rent, and more. Required disclosures. Fire protection. At the time the lease is signed, a landlord must provide written notice of fire safety and protection information, including information on the smoke detection devices and the tenant's responsibility to maintain them in proper working condition. Multifamily dwellings require additional disclosures, such as whether or not there is a smoking policy, fire sprinkler system, evacuation plan, etc. Contact information. A landlord must designate to the tenant the name and address of the landlord or its agent, either in the rental agreement or by a notice conspicuously posted on the premises. If the person designated does not reside in Washington, the landlord must also designate a person who resides in the county to act as an agent for service of process and notices. Mold. At the time the lease is signed, a landlord must give the tenant information provided or approved by the Department of Health about the health hazards associated with exposure to indoor mold. Non-refundable fees. If a landlord collects a non-refundable fee, the rental agreement must clearly specify that it is non-refundable. Move-in checklist. Checklists are required when landlords collect a security deposit, which must be signed and dated by the landlord and tenant to document the property's condition. If a landlord fails to provide a checklist, the landlord is liable to the tenant for the amount of the deposit, and the prevailing party may even recover court costs and reasonable attorney fees. Security deposit limit. There is no state statutory limit on security deposits. However, no deposit may be collected by a landlord unless the rental agreement is in writing and a written checklist describing the condition of the property has been signed by both the landlord and tenant. Deadline for returning a security deposit. A landlord has up to 14 days to return the deposit after tenancy has ended. Late fees. Rent is legally due on the date specified in a lease agreement. There is no Washington statute addressing late fees, so in order to charge one, it should be written into the lease agreement. Increasing rent. On a month-to-month lease, a landlord must give tenants at least a 30-day written notice to raise rent or change another term. Longer lease agreements cannot be increased unless the agreement itself specifically addresses raising the rent. Withholding rent. A tenant may exercise the right to hire a professional to fix a problem and then deduct the cost of the repair if the landlord fails to act within 24 hours for lack of hot or cold water, heat, or electricity, 72 hours for no refrigerator, range, oven, or major plumbing, and 10 days for all other matters the landlord is responsible. The maximum repair limit cannot exceed the equivalent of 2 months' rent. Terminating tenancy and eviction. A 3-day unconditional notice to quit may be used for a holdover, serious property damage, carrying on an unlawful business, maintaining a nuisance, or any gang-related activity. A 10-day conditional notice to cure or quit may be used for all other lease violations. The right to enter. A landlord must provide the tenant a 2-day notice of entry before being permitted inside the unit for inspections and repairs. Only a 1-day notice is required for the landlord to show the property to potential renters or buyers. For more information, additional laws and articles can be found at AmericanLandlord.com.